Hello everyone, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modern Bench. Welcome back now to part 17 of the build of this beautiful Pocher Porsche 917K, and boy is she coming together nicely. So if you remember in the last part we actually painted the inside of the body. We painted the rear firewall here, so that's all done. We've got to do some detail painting on there as well, and yeah, all looking good and all coming together really well. So this was all just the blue paint, but obviously a real 917 is all painted grey inside, so that's what I've done. And in case you want to do yours the same, this is Tamiya LP12 Cure Arsenal Grey for Imperial Japanese Navy ships. This is actually the colour of Yamato, so there you go. Okay, so unfortunately I owe an apology. In the last step we started moving on this part here, part 27, and I completely missed out part 26 unintentionally. So I'm sorry about that. Maybe it was because I was looking at this to paint both, I don't know. But anyway, so there we are. Right. So looking at part 26. Now the first thing we see, we've got a frame to be glued in here, so we'll have to get some gluing done. We've got the doors to go in. They're going in on hinges. Now the hinges, I've got the doors over here. These are also painted grey on the inside. And the hinges are cast on to the doors, so that's all good. And we just got brackets to hold them in. Now I'm doing this now because today is Friday the, what is it, the 4th. It's the 4th of April 2025, and yesterday somebody messaged me regarding their Pocher Pagani. Now you know I've done a review of the Pagani, I've done an instruction review and had a look. I now have the kit, they've sent it to me, but I'm not allowed to advertise anything with it until closer to the release date, which I believe is going to be June. Now, people that pre-ordered the kit are starting to receive theirs now, and somebody sent me a message yesterday and said, can you help me? I'm trying to put the screws in and they're so darn tight, you know, if I use a bigger screwdriver so I can get a grip, then it's too big for the screw I'm putting in, and if I use a small screwdriver that fits the part, then I can't get enough grip to get the screw in. So I'm like, you know, do you ever watch any of my videos? Do you not watch anything about my part works or my Pocher builds or whatever? I always tap the threads. Graunching a screw into a blind hole is not good engineering practice. As I've said so many times, if you went to B&Q, which this is like a I can't think what you call them in America, but it's like a DIY store. If you bought an M8 bolt and a nut because you needed it, and when you got home you found there was no thread in the nut, you wouldn't just graunch the bolt into the nut, would you? You'd cut a thread in it, or you'd go and get another nut. So, you know, I don't know why you would do it on here. So basically I always tap all my threads. Okay, now I'm not going to go through all the taps and what you can, where I could get them from and everything. I've covered it on numerous occasions. If you want to know more about it, go look at the beginning of my Pocher Lamborghini build, and then the beginner of this build, and I'll cover it all again in the beginning of the Pagani build. But as I say, I don't understand why Pocher have stopped me from doing anything. But you know, if I had one on pre-order and I bought it, I could actually put up build videos now. But because they've given it to me as a promotional item, they don't want me to put it out until closer to the release date. So there we go. So first thing we're going to do is cut some threads. Now you can see here in 26 we have 4 screw Fs going in. Now screw Fs are M2.3 screws, so I've got a tap here. This is an M2.3 tap with the end ground off. So I can get those in there, cut those threads, and I'll be able to wind the screws in nice and easy. Now if we go on to the next operation as well, we're also inside the body. You can see we've got a couple of B screws going in here, we've got another couple of F screws, we've got another couple of F screws holding the lights in. So I'm going to do all these at once while I'm here. So first things first, we'll get the instructions out of the way and we'll get the body over, and we need to get something to protect the body. Now I use this is actually a cloth I have for polishing my glasses, my eyeglasses, not my whiskey glasses. So what I'm going to do is put this down on the bench and I'm going to lay the body on there, and that will prevent any damage to the paint. Now when we do this we need to be extremely careful, because when we actually cut the threads, obviously we are going to be making swarf, metal filings that will damage the paint. So we need to be very careful. Any metal filings getting into here, make sure we get them out before we put the body down again. So we'll start as we need to go on, and I won't bore you with cutting all the threads, but I'm going to show you because clearly at least one person out there hasn't seen my thread cutting videos, which I believe are very important. You'll see other people, they put oil on the screw. I don't agree with doing that because you're still graunching it in. And my other concern about it, I'm not sure it's ever a problem, but I have a concern that basically when the oil seeps out, it sort of soaks into the paint and makes a bit of a mess. So I don't know. So what I'm going to do here is get the tap. I'm just going to go in, okay, and turn the tap. These holes in here are actually been made square, which is a good move. Now what we want to make sure we don't do is come back through the other side and make a dent coming out. That's why I grind the end of the tap off so it doesn't have a point on it. So you can see I'm going one turn forward, half a turn back, just cutting the threads. And when it stops, I stop. I don't push anymore because otherwise you'll make like a raised dent on the other side. I'm keeping this upside down to reduce the risk of swarf. And then we've got these two here. Where are these going? They're going in there. Okay, so there's one there. So these are not squared off. Okay, and there it is, it's bottomed out, so I'm going to come back out. And as you can see, when you look at that, when you look at this one, you can see on there you've just got basically a hole with nothing in it. This one, you can see now, has a thread. Okay, so the screw will go in there nice and easily. On this side, it would be a peg to get in. Right, so there we go. I'm just going in literally until the tap stops. As I said, I don't want to be making any big indentations on the other side. Now we've got two screws going in here from the next operation. Okay, so that's from that rear bulkhead. So they're going to be going into there. So we're going to there we go. These probably don't need doing because what Pocher have done is put these square holes in, which reduces the contact area and makes it a lot easier for the screw to go in. Okay, same over here. And there we are. Now what I'm going to do is go through the manual and just check and see what these are, because if these are the headlight screws, aren't they? So we know these have got to be done. Okay, so that's that one, and then finally you got this one here. Okay, so that's those done. What I'm going to do is now go and check what goes into these, and if I need to tap threads in those I will, exactly the same, and then I'll turn it all over and get this swarf out. Back in a minute. Okay, so as promised, here we go. You can see I'll take this cloth away. Okay, I'll turn this over. Just drop it on the bench, and you can see here all of the swarf that's come out, and all of that is just sat there waiting to destroy your paintwork on your model. So there we go. So we get a little T-hoo vacuum, just like so. Clean all that up, and then with the best cleaning thing known to man, it's actually a fact. If you're a machinist, you'll know what I mean. If you wipe down your tooling with your hand, you will always get it absolutely spotless, as long as your hand's spotless, of course. Right, so we are ready to carry on with the assembly. So once again, we'll get our cloth, we'll get the body on there. All right, I'm unprepared. I should have a screwdriver in my hand, but I don't. So we'll put that there. Okay, so looking at the instructions here, it's saying the first thing to do is to fit the doors. So I've got this door here, which is this side. So this is going to go in here. And I'm going to cough. Okay, for fitting the doors, as you can see, I've got that one taped in. It's easier to fit them from the outside, so we're just going to get this in here, hook it up under, just like so. You can see they're a beautiful fit. They're much better than the MFH one. I saw somebody do a build of the MFH 12th scale 917, and they had to literally cut the door off and remanufacture it to make it fit. So they're a lovely fit. They are beautiful, really nice. Okay, so now they should stay in place. Yes, they will when we turn it upside down. Again, check we've got no swarf on there. We don't want to go destroying our paintwork. And then the second option is to fit this part J4, which I have in here. Okay, this has actually come off the J sprue, so I've cut it off and cleaned it up. Alright, and then that's gonna slot in place there like that. Just like so. Should have really sprayed it grey, but it's up in the roof, we're not going to worry about it. And then here we have screw F, so we want two of those. It was screw F, wasn't it? Yes. So we've got two of those. So we'll put one in here. And to the person that asked me about making your screws go in easily, as you can see, these are going in very, very easily indeed. Just do that up until it stops. That one appears to have stripped the thread. Or is it a faulty screw? It's no issue, guys. If this happens to you, I'll show you how to get over it. Let's close that box up. We'll try and get that screw out of there. Doesn't want to come out. It doesn't want to screw in and it doesn't want to come out. There we go, it's come out now. Okay, it would appear that I've actually... Let's get another screw. Just in case. Sometimes you do get a misformed screw. Sometimes they're oversized, sometimes they're undersized. Yeah, it would appear that I've ripped the thread out of that one. So maybe it's best not to tap the threads in the square holes. We shall see. There we go, that must come out of there. Now if you do get this situation, there is a very easy cure. Okay, you grab some super glue and you put the super glue into a glue dispenser or something like that. You put the screw into the super glue. In fact, we want a good layer, because what you're going to do, that super glue is going to go into the female thread and wrap itself around. Okay, so you literally just put that in there like that, leave that to dry, and that screw will basically become a peg, and the actual thread will be your friction that keeps the screw in place. Okay, so there we go. So that's that can stay there like that. Now then, these two parts here, DL1 and DL2, they're in here. These are the lower hinge parts, so I'm going to need some tweezers to get these out. So this is DL2, okay, and this one is DL1. Okay, so DL1 is going in this side, so I'd imagine it goes that way up. Yes, so this one is going to go with the hinge is going to go on this side, so it's sort of bent up towards you as it's upside down. It's actually bending towards the floor in real life, but remember these were full holes, so these won't strip, and these are also F screws. Okay, so we'll grab another couple of F screws, stick that one on there, just tighten up until that bracket's pulled down. we go. And the same on there. There we go. So that's those fitted. Now I'm not going to open the doors because I'm waiting for the glue to go off on that screw. So I won't open the doors yet, but it'll be fine once it's all together. And then finally we need to fit this. Where's it got? Here it is. This roll cage tubing is going to glue. Okay, so we've got a hole. Fits very nice. We've got a hole here, hole here, hole here, hole here, 4 holes here and 1 hole there. So very nice indeed. And we're going to glue this in place. So what we're going to do, we were going to use some more of our clear super glue so we don't make a mess. What I'm going to do is just put some more on here. This is the VMS I'm using. It's available from Brooks Models. Go and get yourself some. It's the best super glue on the planet in my opinion. And this is actually called 4PE, this one. They do all sorts of different ones. They do thins and thicks and all sorts. If you're just going to get 2, get the 4PE and the black thin. If you're just going to get the one, I'd probably go for the 4PE. But the beauty of the black thin is, obviously it's thin, so it capillaries great into joints and stuff. It's black, so you can see where it's going. In that case though, sometimes you might not want to see a big black blob somewhere, so there we go. And it takes a while to dry, which can be a disadvantage, but 9 times out of 10 it's an advantage for you. There we go, so that's those 4 holes filled with super glue. So what we can do now is drop those in at the front. What I'm going to do is grab a cotton bud and just remove any excess. Okay, I don't know what I've done wrong here. Okay, so I'm going to have to see if I can remove it. I should have done this before I put glue on. I thought it went in lovely. And I'm going to tweak these. So I'm going to hold the actual frame. I'm just going to bend those up. Just like that. So we'll put them in first now. Oh wow, there we go. So that's all gone in there. We just get rid of the excess glue. That's staying in there lovely. So we'll leave that to dry. In the meantime, I think we can get on and do some detail painting on this firewall. Just painting these boxes in black and silver and stuff. Right, back in a minute. Okay, we're back. We've done the painting on there. I've also noticed I've got a glue a rear screen in there, haven't I? So we'll have to get that done as well. Just to prove to you that this works, I can show you on here. I'm not going to try and graunch it out, but I cannot turn that screw in either direction. It's glued in. Okay, so that's just to let you know that that works. I'm going to leave those pegs on for a little while yet. So we need to move along now and look at step 27. So as I say, I need to glue that rear screen in, and that's going to take a while to dry. We've also got these air vents to go into the back. Now they're in over here and they're painted in bright blue, and I don't think they should be. I think they should be grey, so I think we'll probably repaint, or black actually. I think we'll probably repaint those when we come to it. And what we can do here is go on, as it says here, and fit these headlights. However, there are no front wheel arches on this model, So basically what you're going to see when you look into the wheel arch, you're going to see these chrome lights. So I think I'd rather get those painted black as well. So I think I'm going to have to get the airbrush out and do some spraying. So they'll be painted black so that you won't see. In fact, I'll paint all that grey actually, because it would have all been grey, wouldn't it? Because it would have been part of the fiberglass moulding. So I'll paint all that grey. I'll paint these black and go from there. But in the meantime, we need to get that rear screen glued in. So what I need to do, actually I also need to glue the lenses into those lights, don't I? There's lots and lots to do here. Okay, so fitting this rear screen, first thing you do is clean all the sprue gates off, and then I've gone round the edge of it with a black Sharpie so that I can, so you don't get that shiny chrome edge around there. And then basically have a look at this panel, look along its length, because mine was twisted and bowed. It was kind of twisted like this and bowed. So make sure it's nice and flat. Put it down on a bench. It should be sort of fairly flat. It's going to be very difficult to get it absolutely perfect, but maybe it could come down a touch there still. What I find is, you know, just tiny little tweak makes quite a big difference. Just give that a little tweak. It's quite soft. As you can see, I've got a sort of problem with this one here. It's bent this way and then that way. I've got a 10-ton press set in the garage. I should go and put it under that, shouldn't I, and really give it some. There we go, that's pretty much flat. And then what I'm going to do is put this glazing in here, like this. Okay. Now don't attempt to glue this with super glue because you'll end up making a right old mess. So I'll put that in there like that, and then grab some tape, and I'm going to put some tape across the middle to hold it in. I'm going to push it down nice and firm on there. Okay, and then we can take a knife and just roughly trim that the way that we don't want the risk of it folding over. Alright, go away tape, go into the bin, there you go. Okay, so that's in there now, and that's nice and solidly fitted. So we can push down on there, we can see our glazing is in position, all nice and flush. Much better than the Lamborghini one was. The Lamborghini one was, if you remember, it was very, very thick. So what we're going to do now is take some Amigamo Ultra Glue or Crystal Clear, whichever you want to use. Okay, I'm going to take some of this on a paintbrush into an upturned Tamiya paint jar. Okay, a nice big dollop. I'd rather have too much than too little and have to stop halfway through. Put the top back on your Ultra Glue. Always put the top back on properly. Don't ever put it on just one turn because you'll look at it and think it's in. And then I'm going to grab some water. That's dirty water, so I'm going to grab a drop of clean water. Just add a drop of water. That might be a little bit too much there. I think what I'll do is just remove some like that. And then we'll stir that in. I think we did this on Lamborghini as well, didn't we? If you watched that one. Okay, now the trouble is with this is going to have to be left to be drying for hours, and today is Friday and the video goes out Saturday, so I'll be finishing this video off on the Saturday. Okay, so we just pick up some of that glue on the paintbrush, and I'm just going to brush it into here and let the capillary action pull it in. You can see it going in. You may be able to see it coming out the other side. But that will go in there. And it will fill any voids or anything, and then it will set rock hard with flexibility. And the window will be permanently glued into place, which will be a good thing. And then what we'll do when it starts to just go off, we'll go around the cotton bud and just mop up. just mop up the excess. Okay, so you get the idea. So I'll come back in a minute and I'll show you a mopping up procedure. Okay, so it's important not to leave this too long, but you also don't want to do it too soon either. You can see that it's coming off quite easily. If you leave it too long, it's very difficult to remove. If you do it too quickly, you'll pull all of the glue out of the joint. So I'm just giving an initial wipe down just to get rid of the larger lumps. We can see the glue's gone all the way around and it's starting to dry already because it's starting to turn clear. But you can see there that it's gone in very, very nice indeed. Okay, and then we can wet the cotton bud and just kind of roll off the excess. It kind of rolls off the surface. When you do this, you'll see what I mean. But it's the same with Migamo Ultra Glue, or with ordinary white glue, or crystal clear, whatever you want to use. It's the same sort of result. Okay, so throw that cotton bud away, we get a new one. Again, I'm using my tongue to wet it because I don't want it too wet. I don't want to get a load of water in there and wash out the glue that's already in there. Okay, you can see because we've got LP, it's nice and tough. The grey paint, I mean. So that's nice and tough. There we go. So we'll just leave that to dry. I'm tempted to sort of peg that there because it's kind of coming apart. So let's just get a close peg on there. Here we are. You can tell it's spring, guys. The window is open and all the girls are playing outside. It seems that everybody around here that has children has girls. I've got two girls opposite. There's about 3 girls up the road. Behind me there's 4 girls and 1 boy. So yeah, must be something in the water, eh? Right, so the only girl I've got is Dottie. Anyway, so there we go. So we leave that to dry. Okay, leave that a good few hours to dry. I'm not sure what it says on here about drying times. Dries completely clear in 6 hours. There you go. So I won't be touching that again today. Alright, so now we've got these headlights to look at. Remember, we fitted these and clamped them when we did that last weekend, didn't we? So we've got these lenses. Now what I'm going to do here is grab an old pair of Tamiya cutters. I'm going to remove this sprue. Get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is take away, this is quite a soft sprue, this one, so we don't have to worry about it shattering. Some clear sprues, when you cut close to the part, they shatter, but as you heard when I cut the sprue away, it's quite soft, this one. It's a nice soft clear styrene. And what I'll do is keep this will be kept and used as sprue goo, because clear styrene is awesome for sprue goo. I learnt that from one of my followers that told me something I didn't realise, that clear styrene is pure. So I didn't know that, now I do. It makes fantastic sprue goo. So I'm not going to put my finger all over these lenses, but what I'm going to do is sand these down, just get rid of these sprue gates while they're still on the sprue. It makes it a lot easier to hold them when they're like this. I'm also being careful not to put my fingers into the back of them. Okay, I'm going to need a magnifier to do this, just to make sure I've got them all nicely cleaned up. Because if you don't get them properly cleaned up, they won't fit inside the recesses in those lenses. So back in a minute. Right, so fitting these lenses, I'm afraid I have some bad news for the newbies out there, the newer modelers. The small lenses fit fine. These lenses are too big. They don't actually fit in the recess. So what you need to do is go around and literally you can see there's a spigot diameter on there that fits inside that diameter on there, and it's too big. It won't go in. So what you need to do is go around and scrape it or sand it, whatever. Just go around and just remove. As you can see, it's extremely difficult, but just persevere. The other thing you can come and do is come with a knife and just gently scrape away. But it is quite a soft styrene. Make sure you don't slip and scratch the lens, but it can be done. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is take some of and first of all I'm going to put the lens down like this, and I'm going to get a piece of blue tack. I'm going to force the piece of blue tack onto the lens like that. Okay. And make sure the inside of the lens is nice and clean as well. And we can see where the tab is. The tab is there, so we'll put it so the tab is facing away. And then what I'm going to do is get some of this ultra glue onto this Tamiya jar. You can see what I'm doing, can't you? Yeah. Just get some of that onto this Tamiya jar, just about enough to do this lens. Don't want it too much. And then get the excess off, and then just come along. And what I'm going to do is literally paint this in here. Now remember, this glue dries dead clear, and there is a frame around that clear light lens, so don't worry about making a bit of a mess because it dries dead clear, and you can just wipe it up anyway, as you can see me do there. But the thing to do here, especially on a day like today where it's fairly warm, or if you're in a warm climate, the main thing to remember here is speed. You don't want to be hanging around, because what you'll find is the glue will dry before you get the lens anywhere near it. There we are, like that. And then using the blue tack to pick the lens up, we can find there's a little nubbin on, there's a little square nubbin that shows us which way up it goes. There it is, and that's going to go into that slot up in there. So just twist it, push it in, and then we'll try and hold it in place. It's very difficult. This is not one of the best designs on the planet, guys, I can tell you that. I don't know why they didn't have the lenses actually sitting inside the chrome bezel rather than on the top of it. Would have made life a lot easier. So we get that blue tack off like that, and then we can position that lens and hold it. Got some excess glue coming out of there, we may as well mop that up. Okay, and as you can see, that lens is sat in down in like that, and what I'm going to do is take my finger away and then put a clothes peg on it, and hopefully that'll dry in the right position. But yeah, very awkward work there, guys. Very awkward. And then we'll repeat the same for these, but these just drop in, so they'll just put some glue around, drop them in with a bit of blue tack, job done. But we need to let those others dry before we take the pegs off, because otherwise they'll probably try and kind of spring back out. So I'm going to get my brush cleaned off and just clean it off with some water. That should be good enough, and go from there. So yeah, I thought this was going to be a quick video, just screwing some parts together, and it's turned into a bit of a nightmare. Anyway, right, now we know what's coming with the martini one anyway, don't we? See you in a bit. Right, so next day now, and we've got all our glue dried. So there's our rear window glued in. Okay, so that's all looking good. We've got the back of we've got all the light lenses in. We've got the back of our lights painted grey, so that's all good. So they're ready to go in. And then we've got these air scoops here to go into the rear end painted black. And we've got some other bits and pieces to go in the rear end as well. All right, so we've got our cloth down to protect the paintwork. We've got our body here still all pegged up. So we'll take these pegs off, and hopefully those arms will stay in position. The VMS super glue is very good, so we shouldn't have a problem there. So these headlights are going to go in. We'll get these stuck in out of the way, and then they'll be done. So basically that's going to drop in there like that. There's like a recess in here that goes into, and then that one's going to drop in there like that. Okay, so just push it in. I guess it's, I mean, they can wander about a little bit, but I'm wondering if this here, what if there was going to be some lighting going in, if that was for the wiring. Don't know. I know the IXO kit has lighting, but the problem I've seen with it is it looks like the wiring gets in the way of everything and sort of ruins the detail look. So we'll F screws for this again, so we'll get a couple of F screws. So we'll get that one on there like so. Just wind that one in. Just hold that light in place while you tighten it up. This one, because of the rotation of the screwdriver, it should actually push it into position. There we go. So that's those in. So look from the other side, it should look, yay, looks lovely, doesn't it? So that's ready for our, we'll give them a clean little dusting before we actually fit the, but it's looking like a, here we go, we've got a 917 on our hands, guys. Look out. Okay, so this rear bulkhead can go in now. It goes in this way around, this detail goes on the inside. So that's just going to plonk in there like that. I'm just wondering if that hinge should go in first. Oh, it does go this way round, okay. Or does it? No, they're showing it as these lugs being forward. So I'm guessing it's going to go. I'm guessing it's going to go in after we fitted the. It's going to have to, because we can't get the hinge plate in. So there we go. So what we're going to have to do now is move this out of the way. So we'll put that one down over there. I'm going to go and grab the rear end, which is here behind me, rather than put yet another edit point in the camera where I've got to keep stopping to cough. Right, so we've got this rear end. So those pieces are going to glue in. We'll do that after we fitted the hinges. We've got this little support going in here. So what we've got is this piece here. These boxes are great to put all your stuff in. This piece here, BR1. Okay. And that's pretty much empty now, other than the rear view mirror, which we're going to put in now. We've got this here, this is BR1. And then we've got, in this box here, I've got this little piece. This came out of the, I didn't want to keep the whole plastic tray just for that. So that's going to come out of there. So we've got a D screw. It's going to hold this piece in. So that's going to go into there like that. Alright, so we'll grab a D screw, which is a tiny little M1.5. Okay, we'll put that little Tamiya screwdriver and then we'll screw this one in. Keep feeling on the back, make sure the screw isn't pushing the metalwork out and leaving a bulge on the outside. Okay, so that's that done. And then this is going to go, it looks like it's this end, so this end that has the shock absorber type look to it, that's going to go in there. So that's going to go through there, and we're going to put a C screw, which is basically a longer M1.5. I'm going to screw that in through the side. Now I have previously tapped this hole, but this screwdriver I don't think is going to be strong enough to hold the screw that into there like so. Tighten that one up. So we've got that rear support there. It's going to just sit there. And then we've got to fit. I'm going to put those scoops in after we fit it to the body, because otherwise I have to stop and wait for the glue to dry. So what we're going to do is put this over here. We're going to get our screw. What screws do we need here? So we've got 2 F screws. Got 3 there, so we'll take one away and put it back in the box. That strap for the rear tyre, guys, I'm not going to bother with. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the look of the brackets. I don't like the way the screws don't go all the way in. And you know, now that I have this strap made up of 3 pieces, I'd rather just not put it in. Now I know that the instructions are wrong, and we know what to do. When it comes to doing the Martini one, if they send me one, then we'll go from there. Anyway, right, so this is going to drop into here like so. Okay. Okay, so it drops. This actually sits on the outside of this, so what we need to do is drop it in like that and let it fall, so it falls on the inside. Okay, so this body is sitting around the outside of the forward body, so we'll just let that sit like that. We'll get our bracket out. I should have got that when I got the screws out, shouldn't I? So that's our bracket. This is DCC 14. It's in here because I didn't want to keep the big plastic tray just for that one part. So this part is going to go that way around, I'm guessing. You can see it's got an opening here, so that opening is clearly going to go towards the back. And then we'll have these 2 screws. So we've got one there to go in there. And then we've got one here to go in there. And in hindsight, guys, I wouldn't have tapped these threads if I do this again. When I do this again, these square holes were fine without tapping the threads. So that body's basically going to close up like that. Okay. So now we can fit this bulkhead. So that is going into there. I can't quite see how it's supposed to fit. Okay, that's how it's going to go. So it's going behind that bracket, so that bracket ends up inside the cockpit, if you like. And then that is going to be held in with 2 B screws. So we'll grab a couple of those B screws. Surely that's wrong. Why would you be putting plastic screws into metal? Surely that's wrong. Okay, that's probably where they got those square holes then. This may be something they picked up from when Moss did his, where'd that come from? This could be something they picked up from when Moss did his Lamborghini. This is interesting. I think this body needs to be bent to fit this screw. There we go, pull the body in so it clips into there. And now look, did you notice just now, without that in there, that rear clamshell didn't want to shut, but now it does. So that's actually helping pull the body together. Okay, so that's all of that done. We've got this rear view mirror to go in, which is J7 and MR1 sticker. So I'm going to go and get that out of the box, and then we'll get that in. That's going to go into that hole there. Okay, so interesting, we've got the J sprue. You can see we've got this plastic part here, which is exactly the same as that one there. So obviously they made it in plastic and then realised that it wasn't good enough, wasn't strong enough or something. So there we go. So we can trim these off with our God hands. Nice and neat. Okay, so no sanding required there. And then we can grab our, let's get this body out of the way a minute. And then we can grab our sticker, which is in the other box here. You can see now the problems we're having with all this big bodywork in the way. Go on, slide cloth. want the cloth to go with it. Oh dear. Oh, come on. Ugh, the quicker we can get this body on the chassis, the better, because then we won't have to worry about the paintwork. So the WR01. Get this one out of here. Get the sticker, the label out of the way. Come on, come here. Right. So other than the nameplate, that box is basically empty now, which means we're nearly done. So this is going to come off of here, and it's going to fit into there. The knife needs to try and get under it. There we go. I just want to get under it and move it up. It's like, oh, come on. That's still not right. As long as you react quickly, what I found with these Pocher stickers, as long as you react quickly, you can get away with peeling it off, because I have a feeling the glue kind of cures. Don't fold them. They're almost like metal. You'll leave a crease in them if you try and fold them. Nope, still not right. Puppy hair, get out. Back in a minute, guys. Alright, so I've got my VMS Flexi 5K CA 4PE here, which is a fantastic, awesome super glue. So I've got that on a Pringles lid. As you can see, it's really messy with all its different dollops of super glue all over it. So I'm going to put some in this hole. Put some in there, and then I'm going to put the applicator down, and then there we go. Just drop that mirror into there. Let it sit. There we go, that's that done. It's going to be facing pretty much straight back because the driver sits very close to the centre. It's slightly off to the right hand side, which is the left hand side because it's upside down. But there we go, that's that done. And then we got these rear air scoops. Just going to make sure you put these clips down well away from the bodywork, otherwise you know what will happen. So we'll just test fit these. So you'll notice when I painted them, I've painted away so that they don't get black on the inside, because you can see the first bit of the blue here. Okay, so they're going to go in like that, so they fit lovely. All I'm going to do is get some of my, let's move this body over a bit, get some of my VMS glue into these holes, get a nice big drop in there because you don't want these falling off. Okay, there we go, and then we'll just plonk that down on there. Just let that sit on those holes. In fact, I'm going to put a weight on there. What have we got here? Just going to put some weight on there just to hold it in position. I'll do the same on the other side and I'll be right back. There we go, as you can see we've got the weights on there, keeping those down. So we'll let those dry and then that'll be that. VMS glue takes a little bit longer to dry than most super glues, but that is often an advantage. So there we are. We haven't tested the doors yet because they're still tape closed, and we can leave it that way because there's nothing much we can change. So we've now completed step 27. So moving on now to step 28, which is going to be in next week's video. We've got all the windows and light coverings and everything going. We've also got these air scoop pieces. You've also got to remember we left those tubes out. There's tubes that feed from here. They go from here on the bodywork. These two are in there actually fitted, but there's two here that we left out because there is absolutely nowhere for them to go. So we're going to fit those onto here when we do this. But what I'm tempted to do is mess this up and do this fit the body to the chassis before we start fitting the glazing, and that way we won't be handling the body and turning it upside down and everything to screw it on with that glazing in place. I have got some very narrow double-sided tape that I may well use on here. We'll see how we go, but that'll give you something to look forward to for next week. So yeah, next week we'll get the body fitted to the chassis, and then we'll do the glazing. At the same time we'll incorporate those tubes. You can see these tubes sitting up here in mid-air, just doing nothing. They have no location whatsoever, if you remember. So right, so I will see you next week. Just as a little not a teaser, but just as a little sort of, there we go, we can see how she's going to look now. Go away, support. We can see there how she's going to look, and she's massive. There's my hands, and there you can see she's a big old girl. What a beautiful, beautiful model this is going to be. I do love a 917. Anyway, I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching, and bye for now. Oh, and don't forget, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and if you've enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't, give us a thumbs down and tell us why. Thank you very much for watching.